Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good afternoon to everyone, to whoever is tuning to our live session today. This is going to be your last CPT, I think, for all English teachers in Johor Bahru. So we are very delighted because one of our speakers is able to be with us today. He's going to enlighten us on whatever that we need to know from the CFR. So for your information, this live broadcast is actually organized by the MPKD Bahasa Inggeris Rendah of Johor Bahru, obviously, and also by the Unit Bahasa of PPD Johor Bahru, which is led by Puan Khairia binti Mat Pauzi. I think some of you have met her. So the whole team is working so hard to make sure that this live broadcast is going to happen despite all the challenges that we have this week, because we have been very busy, doing all the end of year meetings and also the preparation for next year for the next term. And we ourselves are quite in conflict of doing so many other programs as well, and then ad hoc meetings that we need to attend. So fortunately we are able to make it happen. So without further ado, I just want to remind that everyone is compulsory, especially because a letter has been sent to your a letter was sent to each school to say that there should be at least a representative from each school. So please make sure you are going to fill in the attendance form that we are going to give out later. I'm going to give the URL later, and I will also pin it in the comment section so that you're able to just click it, and then you just need to fill in your details so we are able to keep track of whether you have attended our session today. And of course, everyone else is welcome to join us. Perhaps you want to know more about the CFR, you just want to clear up your misconception about what the CFR is all about, and then probably you think that you might have been doing something that is not in line with the CFR requirements. We just want to clear our doubts, and this is actually the right place for you to check. And at the same time, you can also go back, later you can go back to this same YouTube link. You can click it, and then you can revise whatever information that you might have missed out, or maybe you are doing something else right now, or maybe you are also involved in a meeting. You can go back to the same link, and then you can just rewatch our live broadcast. It stays in the YouTube, and do not forget to subscribe to our channel. We prepare so many good videos for our students, for our SPM candidates. Obviously, there are so many things that can benefit from by subscribing to our channel. And yeah, I think I've been talking too much. It's time for you to get to know our speaker today, which is Cikgu SAIFUL Shahrizal of SK Taman Sutera. Okay, here's a little bit about him, right? So I'm going to show you what he has been doing, what he has been contributing to the betterment of English language in Johor Bahru. Okay, here's a little bit about Cikgu Saiful Shah. I myself think that this is the first time that I've ever met him. Um, yeah, we've been in contact just to discuss a few things. Okay, is it ready? I think it's ready. Okay. All right. So that's a little bit about him. So Cikgu Saiful Shahrizal bin Samsudin is an experienced primary English teacher and holds a degree of education in science from University Tun Hussein On. Due to his passion and interest in English education, he has completed his PEDO TESOL in 2015 and became a fully certified primary English teacher. That's good to hear. Throughout his service for about a decade, he has involved in various professional English programs and is well known for his speaking ability. In addition, he serves as the district trainer of Common European Framework of Reference (CFR) for the English language and the state trainer for Pendidikan Civic English Language. Currently, he teaches at SK Taman Sutera, Johor Bahru. So the students are lucky because Cikgu Shah is there, and this is the right person that we are going to refer to anything about CEFR. And not only that, Cikgu Shah is also a well-trained teacher who has improved a lot over time, a person who has devoted his life to learning and teaching. His purpose is to inspire and motivate English teachers throughout the nation. He also has a true passion for working with very young learners. Helping each pupil progress in English language is a challenge that he is honored to accept daily. He strives to create a community of learners that nurtures this growth in a positive, fun English environment. So it's good that we got to see this amazing teacher to be with us today. So please make use of this time to ask him any questions. Okay, do not hesitate to post your questions. And if you're lucky enough, I will try to pick up. I will try to pick up a few questions and display on the screen so that Cikgu Shah will be able to answer your question, clear your doubts, and probably clear up some misconceptions. So we're going to see that later. Okay, so thank you, Cikgu Shah, for being with us today. I think can't wait to see him. Probably this is your first time. Okay, Cikgu Shah is ready backstage. Okay, Cikgu Shah. Assalamualaikum, Cikgu Shah.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yeah,
So, how are you
Mr.
doing?
Harry. Yeah, I'm great. Actually, excited at the same time and
Mhm.
nervous, anxiety.
It
Okay.
should be fun though. It's good that we have this platform. We can still deliver whatever that we need to, despite the challenges of the COVID-19 restrictions. We can't see face to face. We can bump into each other. So, but we can still talk. We can still communicate via this platform. So, what do you have with us today? What are you going to do?
Now, actually, I'm going to talk about there's a two
Mhm.
session actually because it is informed in the latter, right? The
Mhm.
CFR I'm going to talk today is revisiting primary one, which is for year one, two, and three. So
Mhm.
that's actually, and I'm trying actually to link with whatever the documents that provided by our KPN.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay. So, do you think you are ready with your presentation?
yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Let's
So,
go.
okay, just
Right.
before that, I would like to remind everyone if you have any questions, you just type in the comment section. I will try to pick up some questions. Um, and I think that's all about it. Okay, so the screen is yours,
All
Gusha.
right, thank you. Thank you
Mhm.
so much, Mr. Harrion. It's such a lovely introduction and such a lovely day to begin with. And before I move further into to this presentation, I would like to say sederap sehaluan tingkat keberhasilan unggul kebahagiaan dipertahan. Okay, so let's take a look at the slide. What we have today. Okay, so this is we are going to see, or we are going to revisit actually the primary year one, year two, year three, which is the primary one for this so-called CFR, because some of the teachers they might say this Cefr things like that, but actually it doesn't really make sense because you have to say it CFR. Cefr, it's not, it's a big no-no. Okay, CFR, which is the Common European framework of reference. Okay, so please quote it right. Now let's move to the slide. Okay, so what do we have here? Now, I try to to recall. Actually, has been introduced during the familiarization course, if I'm not mistaken, on 2013, 14. All right, we have a lot of course like the cascade, the material adaptation, and as well as the formative assessment. Okay, along with the CEFR course handled for this Johor Bahru, actually mostly handled by me, Mr. Yap. Okay, all right. So from the slide, you can see there's a baseline study results. Okay, that's baseline study. It's totally like this is a very fact. We have to understand that. Okay, for the preschool, there are 78% below A1 before we introduce CFR or we align CFR into our curriculum. And for year six students, start from one to year six, and on average at A1. And Form 3, okay, we don't want to talk to on the secondary school. We just want to talk on primary school. So let's take a look at the roadmap. I'm sure that you are very familiar with the roadmap 2015 and 2025. Aspirational targets. Actually, we want this preschool to achieve A1. Okay, do we really achieve that now? Yeah, that is something that we have to really see, because it's still new, the implementation of the CFR in the primary school. But yeah, I think there's a little progress, maybe not little, but maybe there's a lot of progress, because we have like the teachers, being the teachers has been exposed with all the materials and all the courses, and so I think that's a great sign. And for year 6, now for the aspirational targets, the student from year 1 to year 6, they've got to achieve A2 level. So that's actually, so according to the curriculum targets, now preschool, especially years 4 plus and 5 plus, they're working towards A1. Okay, we want them at A1, but we say that they're working towards A1. That's very important for us to think, and especially the preschool teacher. But now we are not going to talk about preschool, but it's just for your, extra knowledge, the roadmap, the things that we are supposed to know, where are we now? And for year 6, especially for primary 1 to 3, year 1, if you can see that in the slide, okay, working towards A1. And year 2, A1 low. Year 3, A1 mid. Now, that's actually what we're going to talk about today, right? So in this A1, there's a A1 low, A1 mid, and A1 high. So there are 3 different levels. So we're going to move further. Okay, so now let's take a look at this down here. Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, the global scale. Start from A1, there are 3 levels, which is A1 and A2, which is basic user. B1 and B2, we call as an independent user or intermediate. And C1 and C2 proficient user. Okay, for you to understand, because before this is the framework. Okay, the framework start from A1 to C2. Okay, most of the teachers already reached already at C1 and C2 level. Most of the teachers, we really need that. But when it comes to primary school, it has to be A1. And when they move to year 6, they're going to reach at A2 level. So that's fine. All right. Now, let's see the next slide. So what exactly are we improving? Okay, there are few elements here that we have to really focus. The first one is the framework. The framework just now is the A1 to C2 level. CFR standards are used to frame English language curriculum. It's a continuation from preschool, primary, and secondary curriculum until the tertiary level. Okay, right. And even the MUAC itself also has been aligned with the CFR. It's not just the MUAC, actually, when we talk about the tertiary level. All types of the of international exam like TOEFL, the TESOL itself. Right. Now, the curriculum content layout also it has been aligned with the CFR. Curriculum framework, syllabus, schemes of work. Now, these are the very important, crucial document that teacher need to understand well when it comes to implementing CFR, right? Now, so let's take a look at the modular configuration. Now, before this, the KSSR, we always follow the modular configuration. If you still remember, we start with the listening and speaking, and we move to reading, and we move to writing, right? Yeah. So in this CFR, it's a little bit different. A little bit different. We actually at the right track, during the KSSR. It's just that we try to improve to make it even better so that we can let students compete internationally, globally. All right, now. Okay, I need to drink the water because it's really hot, scorching hot out there. And some more, this is the COVID thingy, and then need to get hydrated all the time. I'm sorry. All right. So let's take a look at the grammar component, move to the syllabus and incorporate it in the 4 skills. Now, this is very important too, okay? Because most of the teacher, when during the KSSR, they really focus on the grammar. It's just like, we have been recognized with the grammar Nazi, right? That's the problem, okay? But in this CFR, we actually try to integrate, okay, the grammar component, incorporated, shall I say incorporated in the lesson. We are not really teaching the grammar itself, alone. Like before, during the KSSR, we did that. But now, in the CFR, we have to do a little bit different so that we understand that the student have to use the grammar. We have to, because when we talk about CFR, it's all about the communicative act. The student need to use the language. Now, if they can't use the language, it's like they're going nowhere. It's no use at all, right? So you've got to understand that too. And the curriculum target, as I mentioned earlier, appropriate to the aspirational targets and baseline results. So we've got to look at the roadmap, right? Roadmap. So are we there? Where are we now? All right. Okay. So the next one is the assessment. Now, this is very important because when we talk about assessment in the CFR, it's based on the CFR levels. Okay, the level just now, the one that we talk about, the framework, A1 to C2 level, right? And whereas there's also 3 different stage for A1, which is low, mid, and high. And same goes to A2 level, low, mid, and high. And B1 level, low, mid, and high, and so on, till you reach C2 level, okay? All right, so performance standards are based on 3 levels. Now, the performance standards, actually, you can quote it from the DSKP, all right? The DSKP, the performance level, which is the one that, when you look at the content standard, the learning standards, we will talk about this later, right? Because the reason that this webinar actually is to revisit how actually this CFR align with our curriculum. So that's why we will talk about the learning standard, content standard, performance standard, the syllabus, and all documents that involved. All right. So now the textbooks. The textbook also one of the very important document for the teachers and kids to really and I heard before, okay, when I did the course, delivered some of the courses before, and the teachers keep on questioning, why do we have to use the textbook from outer space, from it is not locally made. Okay, so actually there's no problem at all, because why? CFR, we talk over and over again, it's all about trying to let our students to compete globally. We teach them about, think that out of the box, right? Things that not here first, maybe, and after that you can relate to whatever happened in Malaysia. Okay, let's say for year 1, year 2, there's a season, right? We talk about season. There are 5 seasons: autumn, there's spring, summer, and things like that, right? But and there's the winter, okay, especially the winter. We have no winter here in Malaysia. But why do we have to teach them that? So that they know, something that happened outside from Malaysia. Because here in Malaysia, we can provide them clearly. They can see, they can taste, they can feel. But the thing that come from Malaysia, it's so hard for them to relate, and it's the duty of the teacher to make them understand, to understand, globally. And after that, you try to relate with whatever happened in Malaysia. Let's say winter, we don't have that winter, but we do have like raining season, and it's cold too. All right, it depends on the teacher's creativity. The best thing about CFR is it gives the teachers, all the power to create their lesson, based on whatever happened, not whatever happened, but based on the documents given, especially the SKB, the learning standards, okay? But you have the power to, to come up with your own creativity to teach the kids, to use the language. Now remember, to use the language, because CFR is all about can-do statement, can-do statement. That's very important, all right, for us to really understand that. Okay, so now the textbook, okay? The primary, we have Superminds 1, that's for the primary level 1. And when we go to primary level 2, there's a different thing, because tomorrow's the session will be for the primary level, primary 2, level 4, year 4, 5, and 6 with Dr. Yap, okay? You will look more with Mr. Yap, or Dr. Yap, sorry. Okay, and then let's take a look at where are we now. This is very important because on July, all right, on July, curriculum induction for preschool years 1, 2, 3, Form 1 and 2, training of master trainer. This is actually the chronology, what exactly happened. How do we really, align the CFR in our curriculum? This happened, all right? And after that, the cascade training for preschool year 1, 2. I still remember that because most of the teachers, out there, you've been there, right? And I also happen to be in that course too, not as a district trainer or, as a participant, all right? And I was like thinking myself, oh my God, is this a new thing? No, it's not a new thing. It's already actually, we're already in the right track when we implemented the KSSR. It's just that we had this CFR to make it even better, right? Now on November and December, the SKP for preschool year 1 and 2 will be actually is uploaded in the BPK. So when you're going to find this kind of document, you have to go to BPK website, and then you can get those from there. All right. And on 2018, the implementation of the new curriculum for preschool year 1, 2. Actually, we started, this CFR in primary school year 1 and 2. Actually, on 2018. That's, I heard a lot of, not to say a problem, but a challenge, for the teacher to really relate to the material provided with the SKP and some of them, because it's something that new during that time. But when the time passed, everyone is like super. I believe that the teachers out there, you have done a very good job, okay. All right. And then on 2019, implementation of the new curriculum for year 3, and 2020 is for year 4, and 21 last year for year 5. And next year, actually, this 2022 is going to be for year 6. Okay, year 5 and year 6. Actually, unfortunately, we have done the course, via online, not like previous year, because we have time to really the COVID things not happened yet. So we have time to really face to face with the teachers, and whatever the confusion, the misconception, they can just really directly ask the master trainers, the district trainers, and they can get a very good grasp of the CFR. But during last year, if I'm not mistaken, for years 5 and year 6, we did it online, and it's quite a challenge for the teachers to really understand the content and everything. But never mind. All right, with Dr. Yap tomorrow, you will get more. You'll definitely will get more. Okay. All right. So let's move to the next slide. What is CFR? Now we move to how exactly the CFR actually being introduced. The Common European Framework Reference, okay? And actually, it's a single framework. Now, this is very important for you to understand. It's a framework for all aspects of language teaching and learning, planning, instruction, and assessment, and a common criteria for description of language competency, and design the Council of Europe. It's very important for you to really get the idea what is CFR, so that you understand. Oh, CFR. Some teachers say that, oh, it's a new English. It's a UK English. It's a British English. No, it's not. It's a framework for, for this language, English language, to have a framework, a better framework to see the progress, of the kids when you teach this language. That's actually meant. I mean, the CFR is. I'm sorry, I need to drink again. I got a little bit like dry mouth, and easy to get this dry mouth, so I have to drink, frequently. I'm sorry, if you excuse me. All right. Don't worry, we just have a quite casual time today. Just no need to be a formal, just a casual, what we mentioned by Mr. Herring just now. Okay, so the Common European Framework of Reference, CFR, the key features to understand. Okay, you can see from the slide there. All right, describing language performance at 6 levels. Now remember the framework, 6 levels: A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, and C2. Okay, and this CFR actually we're teaching the skills. It's totally different with the KSSR before, because we move by units. But this one, it is all about skill, right? During the KSSR, it's about unit. We teach, unit by unit. But this one, skill by skill, right? There are 4 core skills: reading, writing, speaking, and listening. And the language elements within this, because we add another one for primary level, primary 1, which is your 1, 2, and 3 language arts, right? We have listening, we have speaking, we have reading, writing, and language arts. So there are 4 core skills and language arts. Now, language arts actually, it is also provided in the SOW and the DSK. Excuse me, the SKB. All right. So if you notice, there's a slightly different between KSSR before and the CFR now. What's the difference? If anyone can really say, if I mention about the 4 core skills during the KSSR and the CFR, what's the difference? It's slightly different. Okay, I guess that some of you might guess it right. Okay, it's the listening and the speaking. During the KSSR, we put them together. We put them together, and for the CFR, we separated them. Okay, we separate them. Listening is listening, and speaking is speaking, because there are 2 skills that need to be taught, separately. Listening is one of the skills, very important skill for the student to really listen, all the information and everything that they, hear from environment, from their surrounding. Listening is very important. And speaking also is one important, is a crucial skill. For me, myself, I tend to when I enter the classroom, I'll just straight away use that. Okay, and let the students respond. Speaking, because for me, at the end of the day, when you go out there, when you want to talk to someone, when you start to have a conversation, speaking is very important, because you don't write in a piece of paper and give it to the people that you want to have the conversation with. No, speaking. So try to build that. The foundation is here in the primary 1, 2, and 3. Here, do it. Okay, all right. And there are global descriptors which describe language level in general, which is you can quote it from the these and skills specific descriptors from which the learning standard for each grade are developed. Okay, global descriptors. This is what we talk about the DSKP. There's a content standard and the learning standard. All right. Okay. And this is the characteristic of CFR, which is what is no and yes. Okay, I think that you can just like look at the slide. What is no mean a curricular document, a compulsory document, a tool to be put into practice directly, or a theories document. No, as well. No, never. Right, but CFR is a common base to guide the practice, a descriptive document, and a starting point to develop new tools, and a document to reflect. To reflect. That's why when we talk about assessment, which is the formative assessment, heard of that? Of course, it's very important for you to know more what kind of a formative assessment. It has to be in your lesson, from the beginning of your lesson till the end of the lesson. Where are they? The formative assessment, because it has to be ongoing process. Right? Okay. And this is again the framework of the CFR, as I mentioned earlier, A1 till C2, and the 6-level framework, which is the basic user A1 to proficient user C2 for skill. This is they are integrated with the 4 skills that I mentioned, the four core skills just now: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. All right? Okay. And for you to understand better, this is again another framework. Okay, you just can after this maybe you can watch it again and just I'm sure that all of you understand this framework already. Okay, it's just that it's sometimes we tend to forget, even me myself too, right? Tend to forget. So that's why it is good to revisit, to refresh, to recall, whatever we have done before, so that next year on 2022 session, our schooling session, we are in sync. Johor Bahru in sync. Okay? All right. So now let's move to the this is the can do statement. Okay, so another one key features of CFR is can do statement. Now listen, teacher. Can do statement. Why is it can do statement? Because what we want the student able to achieve, not what we want them to achieve. We want, if you are, you ask me, like, in the classroom, I definitely will say that if the student can say, verbally, excuse me, sir, may I go to toilet? Then he's already in certain level already. He can say that because can do statement. We encourage them. All right. This is what meant by the can do statement. Because before this, we teacher, we tend to let the students sit for the exam and ask them to answer the question. All right. And we want them to reach a certain grade that we want them to reach, not what they really can do in the classroom. So we don't want that anymore. So can do statement means as long as the student can do with guidance or without guidance, independently, as long as he can do. Because we have another one I'm going to talk about is differentiation strategies. Okay, there are 7 principles altogether. Okay, we will look at that later. Okay, so now let's take a look at the next one. This is the framework that I mentioned earlier. You can just go to the slide and, there's no need for me to explain more because it's very, broad. Okay, this is what we got it from the blue book. We call that blue book. All right, and this is another one, the CFR framework. So that from that framework, then we come out with the content and learning standard, and then the syllabus and the schemes of works. See how it relates? Okay, that's actually the CFR is. It's not a new language that need to be taught in the classroom. That's not a UK or British language or English in the classroom. No, right? Okay. Now, let's see CFR in the Malaysian primary classroom context. Okay. Now, the skills and the descriptors actually identify the performance of areas of the student, which is the can-do statements, which appear in the curriculum framework. You know that it's actually has been mentioned as the content standards and the learning standards. Okay, right, in the DSKP, and actually this is informed the syllabuses and the scheme of work. Inform. It's explained more for the syllabus and the scheme of works. Okay, I believe that you know what scheme of works is, right? Mostly we say SOW, SOW, SOW. But for primary, there are two types of SOW, which is for the especially for year 1 and year 2, phonics and the normal SOW. Okay, remember that because you've got to teach the phonics for level year 1 and year 2. You know, for year 1 during the transition program and year 2 during 2 or 3 weeks, you know, at the beginning of the year. Okay, so we will also will talk, you know, about the phonics things later. Okay, let me finish with this slide first. Okay, and it's from these skills and descriptors from the framework just now. It can identify the learning standard delivered via the textbook or supplementary lesson. Okay, the supplementary lesson are the materials. Okay, because remember for the CEFR there are two types of lesson: textbook lesson and non-textbook lesson. Why? Okay, because textbook lesson you have to use whatever given in the textbook, right? But non-textbook lesson, it's something that actually the teacher has the power to control, to be creative, to use whatever material that appropriate, you know, with the learning standards that meet learning standards. Now remember, learning standards is very important. Now, and this allows both teacher and pupil to identify all the relevant skills, including those that are problematic, which pupil need to develop, right? And prompt a focus on this skill in realistic context. Realistic context, as I mentioned earlier, the textbook, it's not realistic. It's not Malaysian at all, all right? Most of the teacher, you know, has this kind of issue, but please bear in your mind, okay? Because we try to let the student or try to create the student to be, you know, to become international, right? And after that, then we localize them, right? We relate to whatever happened in Malaysia so that they know what happened outside, thinking out of the box, okay? All right. And prompt focus on the skills in realistic context and allow teachers and pupils to measure how well they are progressing. It's very important to the teachers always, like, you know, they can, like, you know, keep track, you know, the progress of the kids, of the students, all right? And not just the student, but the teachers too, all right? They can, like, you know, reflect and do such of, like, you know, reflection and the impact, you know, in your lesson plan, because this is actually is a crucial when you write your lesson plan. All right. Okay. So now we're going to talk or look at what are content standards, what are learning standards, where do they come from, how are they arranged, right? Here, the content standards area of learning skills, area of learning or skills. That's from the DSKP. Okay, now we started to touch a little bit of the DSKP, the document, the very important document, or shall I say it's a Bible. It's a for Muslim like me, it's like something to do with Al Quran, right? Try not to get me wrong to say this kind of thing. It's just that I want to say that it's very, very important for the teacher to really understand the SKP. Okay, wherever you go, you've got to always refer to your learning standard here in the DSKP, and as well as SOW, the syllabus. Okay, right. What are learning standards? detailed observable skill within content standard areas, target for end of each school year. Now, it's just that the difference between content standard and learning standard, that the content standard is a broad area, broad skill. But for learning standard, it is more specific. All right? The target is clear. This is what are you going to let your kids to achieve. Right? Now, how are they organized? Okay. In the DSKP, they are organized by skill and language arts. Skill, language arts is not one of the 4 core skills just now, but it's also need to be taught in the CFR as to let the student have fun with language, right? Because according to the SKP and the SOW, it is already provided. Everything is provided there. You just open your SOW. Everything has been designed by the BPK for you. So I don't think that there's much of a problem to come out with your own lesson plan. It's just that the SOW, it can be modified. The suggested activity only can be modified, not the one on the top. I'll show you later, okay? Especially the language focus or grammar focus. No, when it is there, you have to follow exactly. But the suggested activity, you can find. And also the curriculum specification plus focus and learning standard years 1 to 6, and it also numbered. All right. Now, how are they numbered? Okay. Numbering by skill. Number 1 is listening. Okay. When you look at the learning standard or content standard, when you see the number 1, okay, at the beginning of that learning or content standard, you know that it's a listening skill. Listening skill. All right. Maybe some of you say that, oh, this is so easy. We already know or well known or well understood this kind of thing. But again, this is revisiting and refresh course so that you can recall back whatever you have done before, so that we are in sync next year for 2022. And number 2 is speaking, and number 3 reading, number 4 writing, and number 5 language arts. Language arts. So by content standard, mostly there are 2 number point something, 4.1. So 4 is the writing skill, right? Writing skill. And 4.2 also the writing skill. But that's for the content standard, 2 number. But for the learning standard, there are 3 numbers, which is point something, 4.1.1, specific. See, specific, right? This one, content standard, actually is the broad, general, broad. And learning standard is more specific. Okay? Example, R3.3.1, reading. 3.3.1, that's the learning standard, which is point something. Okay, and reading CS3.LS1. All right, reading, the curriculum specification is 3 point learning standard 1. Okay. Now, link to 4 skill addressed in the CFR, which is the 4 skill just now: listening, speaking, writing, and listening, speaking, reading, and writing. 4 skills. Okay, language arts is not one of the skills. It's just that we add another language arts in this CFR to let the student, to let them have fun with English. Okay, it can be listening, it can be speaking, it can be reading, it can be writing. Content and learning standard directly related to the CFR descriptors. Focus on developing language for communication in 4 skills. Now remember, communication. Look at the word has been bolded. Communication is very important, crucial, teachers, right? Because we are teaching language, so let them practice the language, right? First of all, speaking, all right? And then they'll start to develop other skills. That's for me, but maybe you think that listening is very important for you. I'm not trying to oppose you. No, it's just that That's why in this CFR, we have what we call that the teachers can start with any skill. It is from the SOW. Maybe you can see, oh, this topic actually we have to start with listening, but you want to start with reading. Go ahead, by all means. Why not? Okay, we give the teachers the authority to start with any skills. You can start with any skills, teachers, right? Okay, and no grammar specified. As I mentioned earlier, grammar has been incorporated, right? If you look at the textbook, it is there everywhere. And then it's for you to teach. We don't really teach the student like, today we're going to learn the simple present tense, past tense, present continuous tense. Now that's just doesn't make sense because the kid, they don't really know the fact. All they have to know is use them. Use them. Okay? Use them. Now, plus language arts, the CFR related skill. Related skills here means whether it be listening, speaking, reading, or writing. Okay, so now, again, this is the curriculum content and learning standard and the CFR. Okay, and then here it's more specific, year one working towards A1, just like the preschool, but a little bit higher maybe. All right, because from the SOW, you can see that the SKP, you can see the words that are being provided. It's easy for you to, I have these apps actually in my phone. You can find it in the Play Store, which is the language sum profile. Language profile is very good because it refers to the CFR level, words level. A1, A2, A3, sorry, A1, A2, C, B1, B2, C1, and C2. It is already there. So it's easy for you to use that in your classroom. Okay? And year 2, A1 low, year 3, A1 mid. Okay? Target, starting at no or limited English for year 1, of course, from the preschool maybe. And year 2, working towards A1, and they move to the target A1 low, and A1 low move to A1 mid. So that's what we want to see by the end of this, the roadmap actually. We really hope that this CFR is really successful, successfully implemented by all the teachers here in Malaysia. Okay. Now, the curriculum content and learning standard, this is for the listening. Okay, I give you an example for the first skill. The skill, one of the skill, which is listening. The content standard, actually for this listening, this is more detailed to describe the content standard and the learning standard. Okay, I'm going to talk about the listening skill. Now, it focuses on the pupil's ability to recognize individual sounds. Right, to understand meaning, to use strategies to help their listening. And learning standards move from pupils being able to understand globally to being able to understand details. Now, you can see the differences between these content standards and learning standard. Actually, the content standard is a broad skill or learning area, but the learning standard, it is more specific. Okay, you go deeper. Okay, and in your lesson plan, please, that you have to come out with 2 learning objectives that relate to your learning standards. Right, the first one, the main learning objective, and the second one is the complementary learning objectives. Okay, right. Now, this is the SKP that I'm talking about. Okay, look at the content standard. Recognize and reproduce target language sound is very broad, general. Okay, for the content standard. And then year 1, it is go deeper. Recognize and reproduce with support a limited range of high frequency target language phoneme. If you can see, there's a few when you go year 1, year 2, and year 3. Okay, I read one by one just now for year 1. And year 2, recognize and reproduce with support a range of high-frequency target language phonemes. And year 3 is recognize and reproduce with support a range of target language phonemes. Now, if you can see, there's a slightly different between this year 1, year 2, and year 3 learning standards. Okay, recognize and reproduce. All recognize and reproduce with support. This one with support, the same one. Limited, a limited range of high, a range of high, a range of target. See, that's the difference. Okay. So can you see? Actually, it's kind of like, have you heard of the word scaffolding? Like it's, from simple to complex. When they're moving from year 1 to year 3, it's getting tougher and tougher and tougher. But it is for the teachers, to play their role. They know which student is the weak student, or shall I say, a slow learner a bit, maybe. Then you should provide the guidance, right? The guidance. That's why we have the differentiation strategies. Okay, all right. So let's take a look at the next one. How do pupils get developed across the 6 years of primary? If you can see just now, there, that's it. Okay, from year 1 to year 2 to year 3. We don't want to look at year 4, year 5, and year 6, okay, because tomorrow Dr. Yao will touch more on that. But just to look at year 1, year 2, and year 3, then you can see there's a slightly different, okay? I think here, and here, okay, the difference, okay? Now, let's take a look at, this is it, the development of skills. As I mentioned, as from the slide just now, range limited to wide, from limited to wide, the development, okay? It's progressed into something tougher, better, right? Frequency from high to low, support with and non-support at all, right? Complexity, simple to complex, and cognitive challenge, age appropriate, maybe for your preschool, year 1, that cognitive challenge, all right? Something to do with the ability of the cognitive, and the length, shorter, longer, okay? That's actually what you have to really understand, so that you know how to really use the learning standard, or use the learning standard to write your learning objective in your lesson plan, so that you can come out with a better lesson, right? A better lesson. Now, this is it. This is very important words, okay? The wordings, I love this so much, okay? Our task is to provide an education for the kind of kids we have, not the kind of kids we used to have or want to have, or the kids that exist in our dreams. Now, please remember, teachers out there, okay, my friends, this is a very, a common things that happen before, okay? It also might happen to me too, right? Because we don't really, get a clear idea how to really, get our student to be better, to get even better proficient in English, right? So that's why we want them to reach whatever we want them to reach, instead of let them do whatever that they love to do with our support. It's our job, our duty, and let them do it as long as it is appropriate, and we will encourage them and always nurture them, so that they can just go for it. Okay, so this is the first slide. I'm going to share with you another slide, which is I'm going to look at this is a very specific, that we're going to talk about the curriculum documents. Okay, I'm going to start the slide now. Just a few more minutes, I think. Now it's already 3:27, so we shall stop at 4, right, Mr. Harriet? I'm sorry, Mr. Harriet?
Yes, at 4.
We shall start at 4, right? or
Yeah, if you wish
3:30?
to. It's a little better idea for
It's
everyone. It's in the afternoon,
because
so everybody. Yeah.
yeah, because Madam Santi told me that it
Mm,
has to be like 2:30 to 4:30. So the half uh an hour, then we can just have the Q&A session. So I think I'm gonna just go a little bit for this because this is very
yeah.
important too. The
So
documents,
anyway,
okay?
the session is entirely up to you, sir. So just
All right,
carry on.
okay. Okay, all right.
Right.
Okay, Mr. Heron,
All right.
thank you so much. Now let's
Right.
continue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this introduction for this document, actually the CFR Aligned Standard-Based English Language Curriculum, this is meant for primary three, but as I mentioned just now, it is mostly the same with year one, year two, and year three. And it's slightly different with year four, five, and six, slightly different. There's certain things that you have to be careful, okay? But for year one and two, year three, it's almost the same. There's not much changes, okay? Right, so teachers need to refer to various documents in this curriculum for lesson planning, okay? Especially when you plan your lesson, you've got to have this the SKP. In Malay, actually, we call the SKP. Okay, but okay, wait. I'm sorry, I've got to move back. Okay, standard base SBEL, standard base English language curriculum SBELC. That this is in English. In Malay, we say DSKP, standard base English language curriculum. That's in English. So the short form is SBELC. Okay. So if I say SBELC, then you know, oh, that's the SKP, right? The syllabus is syllabus. The SOW is the scheme of work, right? Now, and this one, there are two types of DSKP. You can also use the SKP. It doesn't matter because we get used to the DSKP because we are Malaysia, of course, right? We're not entirely like, Mak Saleh or whatever. Still can use the SKP because that's actually the stand for, in English, Standards-Based English Language Curriculum, or in Bahasa Melayu, Document Standard Pentaksiran. Okay, so there are two types, which is the National School and also the DSKP for SJK school, sorry, not just for SJKC, but also SJKT, right? And syllabus year 3 also is one of the document, the SOW, scheme of work, also the document and the textbook. Okay, four very
Cikgu,
important documents when we talk
okay,
about
Cikgu Shah,
CFR. Yes, yes.
we've got a question here. Sorry to interrupt you, but I think
Yeah, yeah.
it's very important for me to
Yeah, please
answer
shoot.
this question. Okay,
Mhm.
it's from Cikgu Gayatri Ambuturai. Okay, hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. Hi, sir. Previously, we teachers are asked to follow each skill a day from listening, speaking, reading, writing, then language arts. Can I skip the flow and focus on the skill which my kids need more of?
Yeah, as I
Like
mentioned, thank you, Cikgu
not
Gaya.
in order of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So the teacher wants to skip to a certain skill, uh, isolated skill. So what do you think about that?
Okay, so thank you, Cikgu Gayatri Buturai. I hope that
Mhm,
I found the names correctly. Thank you for the question. It's a very good question, actually.
mhm.
Um, yeah, as I mentioned just now, we don't really decide for the teachers to really teach which skill first. All right, you have to follow the SKP and the SOW. But when you think that there must be some missing skills that your student that need them to improve more, but you can also do in the language arts. The one that I mentioned just now, you can teach any skill first. It doesn't matter. You cannot stick with the it has to be listening and speaking and reading and writing like the modular configuration before. No, but you can start any skills, but you've got to follow whatever given in the SOW, right? Especially the learning standards. And in this case, Cikgu, you can also use the language arts, to teach, the skill that you think might, that your student might need more. You can use the language arts so that you can also provide more guidance and more activities so that they can, like, have more fun in a way. Let's say most of our students, they are really lacking of speaking ability. That's the problem, right? So try to do more during this lesson. Okay, I hope that I answered the question. All right, Cikgu Anu try, if I'm not mistaken. All right, thank you. Okay, so let's move to the next slide here, shall we? Okay, so this is the one that you're supposed to have within your hands. Okay, the SKP is very familiar now. It has to be familiar with you because this is a very crucial document. Okay, you can't leave them when you do your lesson planning. You can't leave them aside. Okay, right. So this is what I'm talking about just now, the content standard, the focus, the learning standard, okay? The DSKP content and learning standard are derived from the curriculum framework. This is what we call CEFR aligned curriculum, our curriculum, okay? Because these content standard and the learning standard is derived, is taken from the framework, the descriptors from the CFR, the framework. Okay, that's why we say that align. So get used to it. Okay, whenever people ask you what is CFR, it is aligned. This is the things that we use, content standard and learning standard, align with the CFR framework. Okay, so that we can have a better way of teaching language, especially talking now is English, right? Now, and this one is I showed you already just now, so we just keep this, and this is the official looks, how it looks like. Mostly this, right? This is the SKP, the front page, right? Consists with the content standard, learning standard, and the performance standards. Okay, and this is the SJK type. All right, don't get confused between SK National School and the SJK. All right, Sekolah Jenis Kebangsaan, because we are using the same textbook. That's also something that we should cherish. Okay, because before this, during the KSSR, SJKC, they are doing their own textbook. I mean, their own way of learning English, and SK do their own way of learning English. But now, both of us, I mean, both SJK and SK, we are using the same material, which is the same textbook, the same SOW. It's just that the time, the period of time of teaching is different. That's all. All right. Okay. So now let's take a look at the aim and objective in this DSKP. Yes.
Cikgu Shah, a minute. We've got one more question here.
All right, sure.
It's from N. Shyamala, Cikgu N. Shyamala, AP Navaratnam. The question is, which means I can start with reading, language arts, then writing, is it? And also, do I have to teach all the 5 skills in a week, or can I focus on 1 or 2?
No, you've got to follow, you've got to finish the whole skill in that particular week. That means you start with the speaking, you don't want to start with the listening, but you've got to complete the whole 4 skills and the language art for that particular week. You can't skip any of the skill in that particular, in that week. You can't do that because according to the SOW, it is written there. All I told you just now is you can start either, you can start with any skill, but you've got to complete the whole 4 skills and the language arts. Now, that's very important.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I hope that answered the question. Yeah.
Okay, maybe Teacher Shyamala can respond in the comment section whether that has answered your question, whether it's clear enough, or otherwise do you want to seek more clarification on that? So please respond. Okay, so Cikgu Shah, carry on.
All right, sure. Okay, so we don't want to look at the aim and the objective. It's too long, too technical for, you can just go through, you have your own DSKP, right? So I just want to show you the things. This is the descriptors, the performance level here. This is very important because most of the teacher, they don't really know how to use the DSKP. And then when they do, now remember the assessment, and when they do the PBD, pentaksiran bilik darjah, where exactly they want to take the TP in Malay, tahap penguasaan. In English, we call that performance level. This is it. It is in the DSKP. That's actually the purpose of DSKP, performance level, right? So don't leave your DSKP aside. You've got to bring them together. When you plan your lesson, put it beside you so that you know when you design your learning objective, and then you always refer to this, right? It's very important. This is the performance level that I'm talking about, okay? Let's say a performance level 1 or TP1. What are the descriptors? You can just read from here. There's no need for me to explain more. And TP2 or PL2, performance level 2 or 3. And then 4, 5, and 6. There are 6 TP, tahap penguasaan, or performance level. It is from the SKP. If you can see here, okay, I'll just show you the previous slide. Requires support. Look at the notes. Requires support to achieve curriculum target A1 meet, and on track to achieve curriculum target A1 meet. Achieves expectation of curriculum target A1 meet, and working towards exceeding expectation A1 high, on track to exceed expectation A1 high, that's TP or performance level 5, and performance level 6 exceeds expectation A1 high. Okay, can you see the progress? Start from the performance level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that's actually when you're going to give your student the performance level or the TP, tahap penguasaan, the PBD. This is it. This is the document that you have to refer to. Okay, it is for all the 4 skills: for listening, speaking, reading, writing, 4 skills. Okay, right. So let's move. And this is the principle of the DSKP, or the Standards-Based English Language Curriculum, or SBELC. Okay, SBELC. Yes, yes.
We've got a number of questions starting to flood our comment section here. So do you think, how many questions do you think that we can afford to probably entertain? Right, we're coming
for now, it's 3:40 now. So just let me finish a few more slides, and then after that, I'll just straight away for the Q&A session. I think that's better, right?
Okay, so I will
Okay,
note down
just
a
wait.
few so I will note a few questions. So probably the rest of you, the viewers out there, if you've got any questions, perhaps you want to wait right until around 3:50. I think that's when you start posing questions. So we will entertain that. Yeah, I will also note down the questions that previously asked in the comment section. Don't worry about that. You don't have to repeat your questions. I will note them down. But the rest of you, please start asking your questions almost 10 minutes before the end of our live broadcast today, which is scheduled at around 4. Scheduled around 4, I think. All right. Carry on, Mr.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Okay. So this is the principle. If you can see that the basic, back to basic fun learning, learner-centeredness. Now it's very important to relate with the PAC 21. Remember the 21st century ways of teaching, integration of salient new technologies, assessment for learning, not assessment of learning. Okay, because we are doing the formative assessment here, ongoing process. It has to be in the lesson plan, ongoing process, and the character building too. For the in Malay we call it sasya, right? Okay, then this one there's no need to go. And in this CFR align our DSKP or curriculum, there are 3 broad themes: the world of self, family, and friends, the world of knowledge, and the world of stories. 3. Okay, if you can. All right, see here, and there's no need to explain. All All right. Okay, this is also something that very familiar. Okay, assessment involve. Okay, this is assessment. Okay, now class. Sorry, teachers. I'm sorry. It's a teacher, right? So I always say that class, right? I'm sorry. Okay, so classroom assessment involves the process of collecting information about pupil progress in the classroom. The progress. That's a formative assessment. Okay, we don't do summative assessment always because of that assessment of learning. Because at the end of every not topic but every broad, I mean it's like when you collect all the you know what do we call that like more topic, and after that you execute the exam, the summative assessment or summative what do we call that assessment. So we don't do that. We do it always in the classroom. Progress. We want to see the progress. Okay. If I'm not mistaken, on 2017, right? There's a course for the formative assessment. If you are the KP, you should attend that course. You should, and you should have that the PDF book of this formative assessment. You can always refer to that and what exactly the activity that you can plan for your kids. What's the starter? What's the plenary? What's the feedback? Things that in the formative assessment. Please go back to that. If I want to really talk about this formative assessment, because I just touch and go to revisit, right? I can't really share lots of things for these 2 hours. I can't do that. All right. Okay, so the ongoing assessment is planned, implemented, as I mentioned just now, ongoing, and determine the pupil's mastery level. The mastery level just now, the A1 to A1 to A2 for primary school, year 6. Okay, now the 2 types of classroom assessment, formative and the summative. Okay, mostly we are looking at the formative. The summative you can do once in a year, maybe twice in a year. Okay, summative assessment things like we don't really have the UPSR for primary school now, so it's better for the teacher to always keep track the progress of the student by doing or carrying out the formative assessment. You can do it every day, not that you have to come out with the exam paper, not that. When we talk about formative assessment, it can be many activities. Even though the activities from the set induction till the closure of your lesson plan can be the formative assessment. It's just that it depends on your creativity, how you really want to test your kids. Okay, even though you use the sticky notes and to do this and that, right? That also can be called as a formative assessment because you test your student. Okay, you want to see whether they understand, where are they now, or what that they need more. Okay, it doesn't mean that you have to prepare the exam paper. When we talk about assessment, and most of the teachers, exam paper, that's wrong. Okay, exam paper, examination is one of the two. There are many tools to assess the kids. Remember that. Okay, all right. So teachers should plan and construct assessment instrument, examine, record and report levels of acquisitions that are taught based on the standard-based curriculum and assessment document based on the SKP. Why? The performance level, the learning standards. Okay, you have to always refer to that. Okay, your learning objective have to, when you form your learning objective, you have to look at the learning standard. And from there, you can design, all right, your formative assessment, your assessment. Okay, this is the various method of assessment, like observation, as I mentioned just now. Okay, exam paper is one of the tools. You can do observation, oral presentation, quizzes, question and answer, task sheets, or written assignment to document student progress in learning. This is only a few, whereas there's a lot. Okay, that's why you go back to your school. If you are KP, you should have the formative assessment book. Go through that and please read one word by word and you'll understand. Okay, now And this one, use of various assessment strategies, take into account the various level of knowledge and skills learned, all right, and allow pupils to exhibit various learning capabilities. This is the purpose of the assessment. Assess the pupil mastery level based on the learning standards and the performance standards. Perform follow-up action. Now, when you do the assessment, this is the crucial part, that you have to do the follow-up. Okay, you want to see the progress. If the student is still left behind, what should you do? And how much the guidance that you have to provide, how much the support that you have to provide, then you have to take the action immediately so that the student won't left behind. Okay, right. Now, okay, this is the, you can record your assessment in this kind of list, like you can just read it. Okay, I'm sure that you teachers are very familiar with all of this. Okay, and then this is also the reporting template that we did for our PBD, right? So this is also something that relate whatever in the CFR that we're trying to, you know, make you understand that this is how it align, relate with the CFR. Okay, the performance level from the DSKP, right? This one also I already mentioned just now, 6 performance level of tahap penguasaan, the 6. So these are the performance level. And the content learning standard also I already like described earlier. Okay, this is the broad idea or broad learning area or skill, and this is the specific one. When you're going to form your learning objective, you have to look at the learning standard. That's why you have to write the learning standard in your lesson plan as well as content standard. But learning standard is more important because that's actually from there you form or design or draw your learning objective. Okay, another performance level. Okay, this is the template, lesson plan template. Never mind, this is a very, you can always do the lesson template, whatever that you're think appropriate. Okay. Okay, for the learning objective, this is also very important. You've got to write, teachers must write, will be able to. Right, this is the suggested by the BPK. All right, BPK. And statement when writing learning objective in the lesson plan. For example, by the end of the lesson, pupils will be able to, let's say 5 words with the correct pronunciation. Okay, if it's a reading, 5 words. It can be measured. Now remember the SMART. Okay, learning objectives should be based on the main and complementary skill indicated in the schemes of work. Right, that's why I told you just now. Learning objective, there are 2 types, main and complementary. Where do you get the main? From the learning standard, and the complementary also, it is already there in the SOW. That's why I told you it is easy for you to design or to do your lesson planning, because SOW will help you a lot. It's just that the suggested activity can be modified, not the one on the on the top of the SOW. The grammar focus, the language focus, no, can't be changed. All right. This is the learning objective. Objective main learning standard. Read and understand the process of making a sandwich by rearranging the sentence strips in the correct sequence. And the complementary, read and understand the specific information and detail of making a sandwich by matching very simple phrases and sentences to the correct paragraphs. Now, this is based on the learning standard, the main learning standard. You use 3, which is reading, and you use for complementary learning standard also 3. The number here is also reading, so both are reading, right? This is good about CFR because we have the main and complementary learning objectives. So I don't think that our student will lack, will lack of any of the skill. All right, as the teacher asked me just now, if I need to focus more on certain skill that my students lack of, right? But actually, it has been covered a lot. So there's no student are going to left behind with all these 4 skills, right? This is the best thing about CFR. Okay, so I think that's all for my my presentation for today, revisiting CFR for primary one, year 1, 2, and 3. So I really hope that you've got something, not something, you've got a lot of things, and then you can refresh, recall, and do some kind of meditation or anything to get the better idea how to implement this CFR uh, in your lesson, in your classroom. Okay, because it's already there since 2013 and 2018 for year 3, and now we're moving to year 6. Okay, all right. So yes, Mr. Arian, over to you.
Okay, all of you viewers out there, don't leave yet. We are not ending just yet. We are going through some of the questions that have been posed by our friends and okay, our peers here. Uh, okay, let's go back to this one question, still from Teacher Gaya as well. She did ask us some questions earlier. Sir, let's say my students didn't achieve the objective for that particular skill on that day, then should I bring the same skill for the next day or must bring it to next week?
Okay,
Uh,
is Mr. Dr. Yap is here? May I know is Dr. Yap is here?
he's here. Are we going to bring him on screen?
I think so because
Okay.
he really loved to be with us actually because
Okay,
he's the master trainer. Okay, I
let's
think that yeah, because we
okay.
already Dr. Yap,
Hi,
Sorry,
Mr.
sorry,
Aaron. Hi, Mr.
okay,
Shah.
sorry, Dr. Yap. Without,
yeah.
without a warning sign, I just put you on screen. I hope you are very well
So,
ready to answer that question.
so the question says should you bring the same skill. So I assume that Gaia is asking that can you reteach the same thing again for the next day? But by right, if you carry out a lessons normally, or you have an objective, and then of course, it wouldn't be like the whole class failed to achieve the objective. If the whole class failed to achieve the objective, means that, or then you probably need to reteach the whole thing. But normally will be have some kids wouldn't be able to achieve, because when you set the objective, it has to be smart, means that it should be achievable in a way. So when the kids are unable to achieve the objectives, then when you have you look at the percentage of the pupils, and then you do some adjustment properly,
Mhm.
and then you carry on or with a scheme of work. And for the weak kids, you give them remedial. So that's why we have some remedial or this kind of activities coming in. So the question a bit tricky, but the answer for that question is by right, it wouldn't be the whole class fail to achieve the objectives. By
Okay.
right.
Yeah,
First, you
So,
can
yeah,
recur because for SK, you have a lot of lessons that you recurring their or the skills again. So don't get stuck there and you're unable to move forward.
okay.
All
All
right,
right.
that's
Thank
right.
you. Let's find another question. Okay.
yeah.
Here's another. Okay. From Cikgu, from teacher Masida binti Abdullah. Is it compulsory to start year 1 and 2 with phonics for the first 2 weeks? And may I inculcate that in my lesson?
Okay, let me answer the question. Okay,
Mm-mm.
it is actually very clear that according to the BPK that the first to fourth week, okay, first to fourth week for year 1 and year 2, you need to teach the phonics. Now, if your students actually couldn't really you think that you need to teach them more. Maybe some of your students still missed this phonic class, and then you want to teach
Mhm.
the thing that you want to give more, then you can extend another 1 or 2 more weeks, right? But it is very, very important, especially for your one during the transition program. You've got to talk or discuss with the coordinator of the transition program in your school to
Mhm.
incorporate that phonic lesson in the theme of the transition program. And as
Mhm.
for your 2, it is very important too for you to teach the phonics. Start from the first to 2, or maybe to 1, 2, 3 weeks. Okay. All right, Dr. Ya, is there anything you want to add here?
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. All right.
One more. This comes from Sekolah Jenis Bahasa Cina Kuo Kuang. So this is getting scary because I think it looks like the whole school is asking the same question. Okay. One of the interactive contents in the CD Year 3 has expired. What should we do? I'm not so sure what is meant by that, by being
Yeah.
expired.
Actually, Mr. Harian, I think our SHAH also, Cikgu SHAH also know about these things. The publications for Get Smart 3
Yes.
and 4. We used because last time KPM used to provide us the CD and everything. We can install it into the computer and or our interactive or our smart system. But right now, due to some reason, I think it's already been expired. We unable to access the materials anymore. So for this one, I think this is beyond our.
Yeah, beyond our expertise. But you know what? The thing is, there's a lot of material out there that prepared by some teachers, so you can just use that. All you have to do is try to Google it, because there's a lot of materials out there, especially relate to DCFR, other valid materials.
So the content in the CD is just merely an example of the kind of material that we can use, right? So we just go to Google and just key whatever suitable keywords, and then we will find a vast selection of materials that we can use. Yeah, and the teachers have been showing as well.
In the meantime, because there's no solution for the expiration of the license yet, the thing will be brought up to higher authority. We hope that the things can be fixed in a future time. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I hope that answers the question. Okay.
Any more questions?
Okay. I think that's all. That's all what we've got so far. Maybe. Okay. So maybe probably. Cikgu Shah has something to say to our teachers, or maybe kind of like a reminder of anything that we need to do, we need to be prepared of in preparation for the upcoming new school term. So is there anything at all you want to say to our viewers watching us?
I do. Actually, this is from our PPD officer themselves. I just want to remind you that, this is a little bit out of the CFR thingy, but for English, for English in the school, okay, the English committee in the school. Now, don't forget to always remember that you've got to carry out the EW20, all right, and as well as the civic, the Pendidikan civic in your English lesson, okay, and as well as the HIP, the highly immersive program, and things to do with all this English. But for this CFR, actually, I've got a few more things to say. Okay, so during the course before, actually, the KSSR actually teach by unit, remember? But for this CFR, is we focus on language, focus on the skills, okay? And one more thing, some of the teachers, they keep on question that, do we have to prepare the lesson, the yearly plan? Actually, that's why I told you, the BPKs really, do us a lot of favor. I mean, really make our life easier, because the SOW has been prepared, and that actually is our yearly plan. All you have to do is just add the week, according to your takwim in your school. I think that's pretty much like, from the teacher, because, do we have to prepare mostly from other subject, like, maybe your admin, they are not from English background teachers or anything. So they just ask you to do the yearly plan, and you started to like, oh, do we have to do the yearly plan, and ask me again and again. So we don't have to prepare the yearly plan. The SOW is our yearly plan, and you just add the week according to your takwim. That's it. All right, to the takwim that from PPD also, right? Which is, there's a chuti here and there, and then you just like, add something in there. The document that I mentioned, there's a curriculum framework, the syllabus, okay, the SKP and the textbook, okay. Always use them. Always, when you plan your lesson. Now,
Mhm.
let these documents, with you so that you won't stray from, because you need to look at the TP, you need to look at the learning standard, of course, to
Mhm.
draw or to design your learning objective. Okay, other than that, and remember the SOW, the activity can be modified according to your student ability. All right, it's just the suggested activity that all the things that you can't modify is the one that on the top of the SOW, especially the language focus, the grammar focus. It's very important to remember that. Okay. All right. So, Dr. Yap, do you want to add something for your 1, 2, 3, maybe?
Yeah, hi, Jagusha. All right, okay. I think for the year 1, 2, and 3, you have given a very comprehensive or explanation about their year 1 to 3. And furthermore, this time we are just doing this kind of like a revisiting. They actually since 2016 we have did the formalization all the ways, as you mentioned. Throughout the ways we have the formative assessment, learning materials adaptation, formative assessment, curriculum inductions, items writing for CFR. So BPK, or I simply put it in Ministry of Education, has been given a lot of trainings for CFR since back to 2016 all the way to recent years. So by right, the teacher should have knowledge, but however, sometimes there might be some teachers might be unable to follow through the things. So therefore, we have this revisiting. So I think the most important thing for level 1 is you guys are building the foundation. That's why for the level 1, you emphasize on the phonics because you need to teach the kids with the skills how to do blending, segmentation of the phonetic thing. And then, of course, don't skip any skills and don't, or you have to really follow through the scheme of work and focus on the language that you need to focus on, and then teach them how to communicate. As for level 2, I think we'll discuss further tomorrow. So that's all I just want to add up for the level 1. I think Mr. Shah has done a great work in terms of explaining the level 1. That's all from me. Thank you,
Okay,
Mr.
thank
Harry.
you. Thank you, Cikgu Shah and Dr. Yap, for enlightening us on all that have been, the doubts of among our teachers. So hopefully, all your questions have been answered, and we still have about 2 questions, but I think we are running out of time. So probably Cikgu Shah will be able to address those 2 questions. I will give you a copy of those questions from the YouTube comment. Later in the Telegram, I will telegram you on the last 2 questions. And thank you, Dr. Yap, for spending time with us today, and for everyone else there at home. Tomorrow we are going to have another session for CFR, but for tomorrow it's going to be for the level 2. With our guest speaker, obviously, none other than Dr. Yap. Same time, but with a different link. So please look out for the link, and please remind your friends and also probably your colleagues that are supposed to join us tomorrow afternoon at 2:30. Okay, all right. Okay, Cikgu Shah and Dr. Yap, please stick around backstage. Okay, do not leave the studio yet. Okay, so that's all for now. Please make sure you fill in the attendance form as a proof that you have attended the session. We are going to record that and we are going to register that in the SPL KPM. So on behalf of the unit Bahasa, to represent the unit Bahasa of the Pejabat Pendidikan Daerah Johor Bahru, and also Sektor Pembelajaran of the PPDJB, would like to express our gratitude to our guest speaker today, Cikgu Shah Rizal, for being with us. Hopefully, you are satisfied with our session today. We are working so hard to make sure that everyone understands what the CFR is all about. You're going to carry out the CFR as it should be. And see you tomorrow. Okay.